Now peasants come in all shapes and colors, and a lot got arrested in the past, 'cause the sheriff and his posse be profiling, 'cause we of the lowest social caste. So all I got to say to you flea-bitten, plague-ridden serfs so blindly acquiescent, when an angry mob is forming, what the fuck wilt thou do? Damn, it feels good to be a peasant.
It's Sunday, July 30th, 2017. This is the Dissident Peasant podcast. I'm your host, Jeff the Dissident Peasant. On today's show, Reince Priebus' career skyrockets up into the atmosphere. That guy's doing much better these days. I'm going to tell you why. Donald Trump gives us an opportunity to examine how Godwin's law is no longer an argument stopper in this country. The GOP Wealthcare bill was temporarily defeated this last week by a wannabe movie star named John McCain. How novel. Mueller Watch. 3 senators join it. Welcome, Senator Grassley, Senator Graham, to Mueller Watch with me, your host, Jeff the Dissident Peasant. Thank you also for joining me, your host, Jeff the Dissident Peasant. You guys can check my stuff out at dissidentpeasant.com if you want to. You don't have to. Thanks for joining us. Wow, what a crazy week. It's tough. It's tough to keep up with the news in a week like this. I have been informed by people far smarter than I, whose names I can't remember off the top of my head, that it's a common theme in authoritarian developing governments that the populace often feels overwhelmed by the amount of news, the amount of change going on, and therefore unable to respond or react. So let's all try to take a step back and respond and react. A bit of housekeeping, very brief. If you listen to the last quickie episode that I did, and if you didn't, I'm going to tell you real quick what happened. Now, I took issue with some rhetoric that I heard on Jeff Waldorf at TYT Nation's show about how we, meaning the American people presumably, don't have anything to impeach Donald Trump on because the Russia collusion charges aren't proven in his eyes. And that's fine as far as it goes. My whole point was that there's lots of other stuff that he's done that's illegal and unconstitutional, and he should be removed for it. That is my position. It is uncompromising. It should be the position of every right-thinking American and person who loves their country. So I called him out on it. And to his great credit, he contacted me on Twitter and engaged me for a bit and has come around to my point of view on this. And so, yeah, I just want to publicly call him out or publicly say that's awesome. I really appreciate that. I told him that the tweet is really awesome, that he reached out to me, and we were able to have a discussion, and he was able to come around to my side on this one very specific but very important point to me. So thank you, Jeff Waldorf. Everyone go watch TYT Nation or listen to TYT Nation. If you want to, check them out on YouTube. He is not bad. Okay, first up on today's show, Reince Priebus' career suddenly looking a lot better because he is no longer Donald Trump's chief of staff. Yep, he's gone. He is gone. There are conflicting reports about whether or not he resigned or was fired, which is hilarious to me that they are so dysfunctional over there that it's literally a he said, she said situation over whether or not he resigned or was replaced. In any case, he has been replaced at this point by John Kelly, a former Marine general, and until very recently, Trump's head of Homeland Security. By the way, nobody at Homeland Security seems to know who's in charge right now. As of this recording, at 4:55 in the morning. But in any case, Reince Priebus's career is going to take a huge rocket upwards now that he's not associated with this buffoonish fascist administration. I think he's probably the only real winner in this, and I think America probably loses. Not that I really like Reince Priebus or am a big fan of his political views or where he comes from or what he's all about, but I do think Reince Priebus was capable of being a adequate chief of staff for a GOP president in terms of selecting people to hire, hiring them, establishing a decision-making structure, scheduling meetings, all that stuff that a chief of staff does. He was never allowed to do any of that because Trump is a free-willing monster who announces military policy on Twitter. But in any case, Reince Priebus was the anchor keeping a lot of congressional Republicans feeling a bit more secure, or at least they had somebody there on the inside advocating for them, worrying about their half of their stake of the store, so to speak. Whatever. They're all monsters, of course, and I want them all to fail because they want to wreck my country, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But Reince Priebus was probably one of the few competent administrators in Donald Trump's cabinet or inner circle, and he's gone. Reportedly, the family lost confidence in him. Ivanka, Donald Trump Jr., that family. So Reince is out, and John Kelly is in. John Kelly, a former Marine Corps general, who's probably used to just taking orders and executing them. The military is a very authoritarian organization. It has to be, of course, because of its function, but I'm not really sure that John Kelly is going to work out so well in that position. And in any case, I do not think that Trump is going to listen to him. So it's probable that he'll be entirely ineffectual. And the administration will just continue to take on water. It'll continue to fail, and we all have to hope that a large natural disaster or foreign crisis doesn't strike us anytime soon, as long as these morons are at the helm. Hey, let's do some sound. You want to do some sound? I want to do some sound. This is Donald Trump speaking at a rally in Ohio on the 25th. That was Tuesday, this last week. Let's hear what he has to say.
Earlier this year, Immigration and Customs Enforcement conducted the largest single raid on transnational gangs in the history of our country. We are dismantling and destroying the bloodthirsty criminal gangs. And, well, I will just tell you this, we're not doing it in a politically correct fashion. We're doing it rough. Our guys are rougher than their guys.
In reality, ICE is going after high school students and people without criminal records who've been checking in for years with immigration, despite not having documents. And they're the ones being picked up and detained for no good reason. People inside ICE have been leaking this lately because they are so horrified about what's happening. That's how I know what I know, by the way. And in some cases, I don't doubt that they're being rough with their detainees. Hopefully, Trump's being hyperbolic when he says they're tougher on the detainees than gang members would be, because even gang members shouldn't be treated that way, obviously. That's un-American. The police aren't judge and jury. They're authorized to use the minimal force necessary to bring someone into custody. Period. Let's hear what else Trump has to say.
And you've seen the stories about some of these animals. They don't want to use guns because it's too fast and it's not painful enough. So they'll take a young, beautiful girl, 16, 15, and others, and they slice them and dice them with a knife because they want them to go through excruciating pain before they die. And these are the animals that we've been protecting for so long. Well, they're not being protected any longer, folks.
What's this I have here? This is a quote from the film The Eternal Jew, a 1940 Nazi propaganda film. Where rats appear, they bring ruin by destroying mankind's goods and foodstuffs. In this way, they spread disease, plague, leprosy, typhoid fever, cholera, dysentery, and so on. They are cunning, cowardly, and cruel, and are mostly found in large packs. Among the animals, they represent the rudiment of an insidious underground destruction, just like the Jews among human beings. This should sound familiar to everyone, and it's okay to point out that it reminds you of Nazi Germany. Godwin's Law, for those who don't know exactly what it is or are semi-familiar with it, is something often misinterpreted on the internet, as in if you violate it, you automatically lose an argument. In other words, if you compare the subject to Nazism in your argument, then you automatically lose. Internet troll, you lose. That's not what Godwin's Law is. Godwin's Law is a probability statement that the longer an internet forum discussion goes on, the likelihood of one subject in the discussion being compared to Nazis at some point it approaches 1. In other words, it's bound to happen eventually. That's what Godwin's Law is. And now that we have Trump as president, we can't use it as an automatic invalidator of an argument. I'm not sure we ever could, but we definitely can't now, because this is real. This should sound creepy to you. And I should remind you, like I said at the top, this is not a campaign rally from last year. This was a few days ago. He's still doing this. He's ginning up hatred against a large group of people who are guilty of not having the correct paperwork. Yes, there's a lot of them. There are tens of millions of them. In any sufficiently large population, you're going to have a few scumbags. That doesn't mean all illegal immigrants, i.e. Mexicans, are bad people and gonna cut up precious little white children with knives just to hear them struggle. That should be obvious to everyone. It's not obvious to the President of the United States. So, not all news is bad, though. The GOP Wealthcare bill came 1 vote shy of becoming law this week, which is not a great victory, I guess, but it's certainly better than it actually becoming law. The CBO estimates it would have kicked 16 million people off their insurance by 2020, or something like that. Some absurdly high number very soon. So good, it didn't pass. So I could be like Jonathan Chait and use my huge media platform that I have here to thank conservative intellectuals for their honest disdain for this whole process. I could do that. I could thank Susan Collins and John McCain and Lisa Murkowski for not voting for this bill, despite it being a Republican bill and them being counted on to vote for it. I could thank them. But before I thank any of those people, I want to thank anyone and everyone who called or protested with their bodies to stop this from happening, to keep the pressure on, to make sure those senators knew we saw what they were doing, despite them having to do it or trying to do it in a very secretive and rushed manner. So if you called or you're a congressperson to oppose this, thank you. Firstly, from me, I appreciate it. You save lives. You're a hero. If you are listening to this and you know anyone who called or protested this, buy them dinner or buy them beer. Or if you are a particularly poor peasant, give them a nice pat on the back and thank you. They are a hero. They save lives with their efforts. Thank you to them. John McCain, clearly maximizing his press coverage by voting for the motion to proceed after getting up from a cancer hospital bed and then voting down the bill at the last minute and making Mitch McConnell sound like the saddest and most pathetic and also jolliest turtle man to ever exist. So I guess that's good. Thanks for that, John McCain. You're still an asshole. I don't know. Actually, I do know exactly why you did what you did, and it was so that you'd be hailed as a hero by the press. But in reality, you're a squishy old warmonger and an asshole. And I'm glad you weren't brave enough to take this vote, because you're never going to run for an election again. So thanks. I'm glad a fit of pique and media whoredom motivated you to vote against this bill. I guess that's great. As far as it goes, it should be obvious from my tone of voice that isn't very far at all. Mueller Watch. It's on. It's on, and it's getting more crowded over here, you guys. It's getting crowded in Mueller Watch. Let's listen to what Lindsey Graham had to say on camera.
This effort to basically marginalize and humiliate the Attorney General is not going over well in the Senate. I don't think it's going over well in the conservative world. If you believe Jeff Sessions should be fired, use the power you have and accept the consequences. I hope it stops. I'm 100% behind Jeff Sessions. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee sent a pretty chilling tweet yesterday. There will be no confirmation hearing for a new Attorney General in 2017. If Jeff Sessions is fired, there will be holy hell to pay.
Those are strong words from a member of a party of mendacious liars, but strong words nonetheless. He had a little bit more to say. Let's take a listen.
But it's really about Mueller. The idea that the president would fire Mueller or have somebody fire Mueller because he doesn't like Mueller or Mueller's doing something he doesn't like can't be. Then we become Russia. So the red line should never be drawn. The president's not in the business of drawing red lines when it comes to the law.
Two things. First off, Lindsey Graham sounds like the Dissident Peasant. That is amazing. Lindsey Graham, if you're listening to my voice right now, I just want you to tweet out a video. Please tweet out my website. That's it, man. Just do that one time, and I'd really appreciate it. And the second thing I wanted to say about this was I saw this going around this week as a lot of liberals wiping the sweat from their brows, feeling much better about this. Finally, a little bit of public pushback from congressional Republicans on the criminal usurpation of the presidency and obstructing his effort to obstruct justice in regards to the Russia investigation. However, 2 senators does not 67 votes for conviction make. I would remind everyone, it's actually really, really not even close to what we would need. And 2, let's remember who we're dealing with here. This is the GOP. Does anyone seriously take them at their word anymore? Can you seriously believe these people? I mean, it's possible that a report might be issued detailing the president's many crimes, and Republicans shrug their shoulders and say, well, it's all in the past now, and we want to move forward as a country. The voters did vote for this. He is a legitimate president. We have plans moving forward, so we're going ahead. Look forward, not back, to quote their least favorite black president. Right? That'll be the line. And that line might, well, no, I don't think that line will work. But there's a line that will try, certainly. They'll get voted out of office, I think, if they do that. And that's good as far as it goes, but I just want to point out that the numbers game here is not really with the side of the Angels. Okay? There are too many senators from too many small states full of relatively large numbers of insane people who vote in insane ways. And that's a shame, but you only need 34 senators, 17 states worth, of nut jobs in order to block conviction for impeachment. That's tough. That's Ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps up today's show. I'm sorry for its briefness. My real-life peasantry is getting in the way of my true love, which is broadcasting my voice to my dozens and dozens of fans. Thanks again for joining me. I'm your host, Jeff the Dissident Peasant. You can go to dissidentpeasant.com. You can check out all the stuff there. There's a link to our Facebook page, YouTube, my Twitter handle, a bunch of words chronicling the fall of American democracy, and stuff like that. So, hey, you can check that out. You can also like this video. You can comment on this video. You can share this video and post. You can do all that. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to build an audience. If I get to 10,000 just views on this channel, I will show you what I look like with a nice webcam. Once again, thanks for joining me. Stay dissident. SERFS.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong.